Good evening, I'm Dennis Ward. Welcome to APTN National News. Today is the 10th day since Nunavut's capital, Iqaluit, announced there was fuel in the water. You can't even boil it to make it drinkable, and the city is relying on a local river and plane loads of bottled water. Our Kent Driscoll joins us from Iqaluit. Kent, what is the latest on the water crisis?
Well, the latest, Iqaluit residents have more questions than we're getting answers for, and the progress made to date has been hard to see. Now, the government of Nunavut were the ones to officially announce the do not drink order. Now, that was hours after the mayor had already gone out on social media to send a warning to residents. Getting anything more than that out of the Nunavut government has been difficult. The government of Nunavut has had test results for a week now, and still won't release the contents of those tests, aside from saying, don't drink the water. Now, we've been asking all week for those test results, or an explanation as to why they won't provide them. They won't answer either question. As for progress, well, the city hoped to have fleshed out the entire water system by now. We're told it's taking longer than anticipated, and will continue. They say they'll know more by Monday. The city's also managed to drain and investigate the underground tank that's suspected of being the source of the contamination. There were no visible cracks in that tank, so now they're searching for microscopic cracks. So we don't have much more information aside from don't drink the water, and we're working on it. Back to you in Winnipeg.
Thanks, Kent. A prominent Indigenous leader is calling for the Prime Minister's resignation after the PM claimed that the government had turned over all the documents they have related to residential schools. But as APTN's Tina House reports, the National Centre for Truth and Reconciliation claims this is not accurate.
Earlier this week, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau came to Tk'emlúps to apologize and make amends for not visiting the First Nation on the first National Day for Truth and Reconciliation on September the 30th, but rather at a beach vacation in Tofino, BC.
I'm sorry I wasn't here on September 30th. It was a mistake.
Since the horrific discovery of the 215 children found buried just steps away from where the PM was speaking, leaders and survivors were waiting to hear what he had to say about the vital documents surrounding residential schools, which they have been calling for years.
We continue to advocate for full, unfettered access to student attendance records. We need the capacity to ensure the resources and technical expertise to complete the work of identifying all the Liskway in our care.
And when asked about those documents, the Prime Minister had this to say.
All the federal records, all the records in possession of the federal government have already been turned over to the National Centre for Truth and Reconciliation in Winnipeg.
But the National Centre for Truth and Reconciliation says they have not received those records. In a statement they said, "This is not accurate. At present, we are still waiting for Canada to provide the final versions of school narratives and supporting documents. The NCTR has various school narratives on its website, but some are out of date. For other schools, no narrative has ever been provided to the NCTR. Additionally missing are various Library and Archives Canada quality records and records from provincial governments, most of whom have not yet produced vital statistics, including death certificates for children lost at schools or coroner's reports. At present, we are also still unable to access Indian hospital records, federal health records, and day school records." Grand Chief Stuart Phillips says he is astounded that he would give an inaccurate statement to leaders and survivors.
A man that declared the Indigenous peoples were the most important relationship to the Canadian government, and yet there's been a litany of broken promises, empty commitments, and meaningless apologies. I think if he has a shred of honor left, he should resign forthwith.
We reached out to the Prime Minister's office to clarify his comments. his office replied by email stating, "We have provided over 4 million documents to the National Centre for Truth and Reconciliation. To the best of our knowledge, all documents were provided. If that's not the case, we will do everything we can in working with all parties of the IRSSA to make sure the documents are provided."
Thank you very much, everyone.
Tina House, APTN National News, Vancouver.
An Alberta man is on a quest to find out where his great-grandfather, who was the chief of the Big Stone Cree Nation, was buried. Chief Beauregard never returned from the Charles Camsell Hospital in 1963. APTN's Chris Stewart has the story.
Chief Maxime Beauregard was chief of the Big Stone Cree Nation from 1947 until 1962. He was sick and sent to the Charles Camsell Hospital in Edmonton. The hospital treated mostly Indigenous people from the north. The hospital used patients as guinea pigs for experimental treatments and vaccines. Many who went there never went home, including Chief Beauregard, who died in 1963. Travis Gladio Beauregard has been looking for his great-grandfather's resting place.
When he had gotten sick, they had sent him to the Camsell and they never brought him back home. A lot of it was due to the fact that lack of infrastructure, roads, they couldn't haul the remains back home. So back then I was told that they used to bring it to the closest neighboring reserve at that time, which was Enoch.
He found Chief Beauregard's death records in the Alberta Archives, narrowing down where to look.
Where I found his death records, it said the old Winterburn Cemetery. And so I started looking into the research, and there was 2 possible locations. And one was here in Enoch, and the other one is in St. Albert. And so at this point in time, I've been doing my research. I have, strong evidence and, strong doubt to believe that he could possibly be here.
This day, he is walking around a large patch of land, which appear to be on the Enoch Cree Nation Reserve, close to the border of Edmonton, and by the River Cree Resort and Casino owned by Enoch. The field looks mostly empty. A few markers are here. Not many. 2 markers of children who died at 3 years of age. There could be many unmarked graves.
A lot of these people, patients, had never went home. So just like many families that have been affected, just like myself, a lot of us are looking for closure, looking for a lot of answers. My grandfather died back in 1962. We are now in 2021. So there's a lot of wounds and a lot of healing from a lot of past trauma and hurt.
Travis Gladio Beauregard wants the grounds scanned with ground-penetrating radar to see how many people are resting here. He says he has been unable to find the record of those who have been buried here.
If they don't have the names of the people here, we'll at least try to have an idea of where the plots are, put something there, at least to honor them. To some of these people, we don't know if they got a traditional burial. We don't know if they got a Christian burial for that matter.
Enoch Cree Nation Communications told APTN that there were more markers on the grounds, but they were taken down due to them becoming worn down over time. They said they would attempt to find information on the names of those buried here. They have not gotten back to APTN before airtime. Chris Stewart, APTN National News, Enoch Cree Nation.
And we want to hear what you think about this or any other story you see here. Here's how you can continue the conversation. You can send your emails to APTN to news@aptn.ca or leave a comment on our website. That's aptnnews.ca. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. Well, still to come, we're off to Germany for part 2 of our sit-down interview with Governor General Mary May Simon. Stick around. Welcome back. We continue our sit-down interview with Governor General Mary May Simon now. Done while she was on state visit to Germany. Tonight she talks about issues back home in Canada. Once again, here is Lindsay Richardson with the questions.
The first public speech you've given as part of this state visit to Germany, you opened in Inuktitut. Why was that important for you?
Well, it's a language that came from my people, and I grew up with it, and it's my main language that I think with a lot. So it's always important to say a few words, and I feel very grounded when I do say some words to the audience, and I like to start that way, and a lot of people like to hear it as well.
The more I hear about Indigenous languages, the more I realize how visual and descriptive they are. But we also know that in some areas, numbers are declining. What do you feel Canada can do to better support and promote and protect Indigenous languages?
Well, I think one of the things that they have done is to create the legislation that is necessary to support Indigenous languages, and they've recently appointed the commissioner for that organization, and I think there's also one Inuit and one Métis that are directors in that. So I'm hoping that they will develop a really strong program to support Indigenous languages across Canada and to promote the further development of the languages. As you say, some areas it's become quite weak. In fact, there are some languages that have actually been lost, but nevertheless, Inuktitut is still strong. So we're encouraging our people to use it every day. That's part of the answer to having a strong language, is to be able to use it every day. And I think in our education system, we need to teach it more and more, and also use it as a language of instruction. I think those are critical parts of making sure that the languages grow. When I was growing up, it was different. We all spoke very good Inuktitut, so it wasn't necessary. In fact, we weren't allowed to speak it at school, so it was a different era. And I think now there's a lot of opportunity with this new legislation to be able to develop programs that will help support the language.
Mm-hmm. What about recognition of Indigenous languages as being among the official languages of Canada?
Well, wouldn't we be living in a perfect world if we could do that? But unfortunately, that hasn't been the case. I think that, like in Nunavut, they recognize in the territory the Indigenous languages as being official languages of the government. And I think that's a really good start to be able to do it in that way. And in our region as well, in Nunavik, we're doing the same thing. So I think it's really important for regions and territories to encourage the use of their languages by recognizing them as official languages.
Now, back home in our home province of Quebec, we know that language is obviously a very contentious, hot-button issue, but in the last year or so has discussion of systemic racism. I just want to know, what do you have to say to people who deny its existence, not just in Quebec, but across Canada?
Racism shouldn't be happening. Just talking about it isn't going to make it go away, but we should not have systemic racism in Canada, but we do. And governments need to address that. But my role as Governor General is not to be involved in that political discussion.
Well, on a personal level, you've held some very high-profile positions. Have you ever experienced anything like this, like what's being discussed?
At a personal level?
Yes.
Of course I have, yes. At a very young age. There was, the residential school system was a discriminatory process that all of us got impacted by. So yes, of course I have.
Now, another issue close to home that's playing out in Nunavik, COVID-19 outbreaks tied to low vaccination rates. What can you say to motivate people to consider getting vaccinated, even at this stage in the pandemic?
Well, it's never too late to get vaccinated, and I think for people like myself, we should be encouraging people to get vaccinated. And if there are fears and concerns about the vaccine itself, then the health authorities need to make sure that people understand that this is a safe vaccination. And I think everybody needs to talk about how safe vaccines are. And in order for people that are concerned about being vaccinated, I think education and educating people about vaccines in any of the regions, not just in Nunavik, is an important part. I did my part before I was appointed as the Governor General with our health system in Ottawa. I campaigned for the vaccine to be taken by all Northerners and all Inuit.
We opened this interview talking about Inuktitut. Would you do us the honor of closing this interview with a word in Inuktitut as well?
Sure. Ino hatika tamani nunak juango hatitini tikisimagat Germany mi katinga hatta dugut katinga se hatta tunganga yokhani atsiging itunik taman namami sangna hangatuinak piusriyaw riakasungumman tamani tau pinasumiyutaimetumik akunin tangnik pitsiata manginumnik hawisimammigamic tamanna atuqtausimammat atuqsimalermagattigutamik tamakkua ilniariartitau hattasimajuvini pitjutigitsugit taimaigaluartilugu pinasuqatigiitsianermi atuqtugut ammalu kayusititsiarniatugut nakumina takunnataugunnaqamamaana.
Your Excellency, Nakume, for your time. It's a pleasure.
It's my pleasure to be here.
And you can watch that entire interview with the Governor General over on our website, aptnnews.ca. Back on Turtle Island, a video of a California math teacher has gone viral for all the wrong reasons. That story and more still to come. Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. Our viewer Delane Allen refers to this as a fog bow. She was able to get this picture near Gillam, Manitoba. What a beautiful sight to see. Thanks for sharing, Delane. Keep those photos coming by sending them to share@aptn.ca, and be sure to include any and all necessary details concerning your photo. Time now to take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Starting on the East Coast, 20 with showers for Halifax, 12 in St. John's, 2 and cloudy in Kuujjuaq, snow and 3 in Nain. Showers and 15 in Montreal, plus 3 in Chibougamau. 9 with flurries in Sault Ste. Marie, cloudy and 5 in North Bay. Cloudy and 8 in Thunder Bay, snow and 5 for Sioux Lookout. Rain, snow mix for God's Lake and a high of 2, 3 in Norway House and Thompson. 6 in Winnipeg, 5 in Dauphin. 8 and sunny for Regina and North Battleford. Sunny and 5 in Uranium City and Buffalo Narrows. In northern Alberta, 8 with showers in Peace River, 7 in Fort McMurray. 19 in Lethbridge, cloudy and 11 for Edmonton. Showers and 13 in Vancouver, 12 with rain for Victoria. 13 and rain in Prince George, showers and 8 in Dease Lake. -1 with snow in Old Crow, snow and 8 in Whitehorse. Sunny and 5 for Yellowknife, 5 in Norman Wells. +1 in Sax Harbor, 4 in Pulatuck. -2 in Baker Lake and Chesterfield, 0 in Cambridge Bay. -3 with snow in Resolute, 4 below in Iqaluit. And I'm told our fog bow picture was from Delaney Allen. Thanks, Delaney. Well, to California school now, where the school district is condemning the behavior of one of their teachers after video of a math teacher has now gone viral. In a video posted to Instagram, the high school teacher is wearing a craft-like Native American headdress. She dances around the classroom whooping and, quote, tomahawking as she teaches a trigonometry lesson. The Instagram accolade Brown said the video was filmed by a Native American student who felt violence was being committed against him. The Unified Riverside School District released a statement saying the behavior is unacceptable and offensive to Native American culture and practice. They say the teacher has been placed on leave pending an investigation. A family from a small First Nation in Manitoba will be battling it out for cash on Canadian TV screens this November. Family Feud Canada will feature 5 Lynx Leg family members from Tootenay-Wowsabing First Nation in southern Manitoba. Family was selected to compete on the new season, which airs on CBC television. The group could take home up to $30,000 if they win. Their episode will air on November 8th, and good luck to them. Earlier this year, there was finally justice for Cindy Gladio. After 2 trials, her killer was convicted of manslaughter. APTN Investigates first reported on her story in 2017. Tomorrow, they'll take a look back. Here's a preview of Cindy's story, Redux.
7 to 911 emergency for police, fire, or ambulance.
Police.
And what's the emergency?
It's a long story. I woke up. There's a girl in my bathroom, friggin' covered in blood.
Cindy Gladio's name should not be ever forgotten.
So she needs an ambulance then, sir?
I don't know. I've never touched her.
No, it's basically sending a message of impunity, that it is okay to kill an Indigenous woman or to kill a sex worker and walk away free.
She came in, I was in a hotel, and we're all partying there.
I felt that maybe, I wasn't sure that I believed his story, put it that way.
And she came back and had a shower, and I fell asleep in my bed, and I woke up this morning, she's laying in the tub with blood all over the place.
An Ontario trucker has been set free by a jury in Edmonton after being found not guilty of first-degree murder in the death of an Indigenous woman working in the sex trade.
Protesters are angry the court allowed Gladio's genitals, which were preserved by the medical examiner, to be shown at Barton's trial.
If she hadn't been Aboriginal, they would never have done that. They've never dared to do that. The justice that we seek for Cindy Gladio is, I hope, on its way.
And you can watch the full episode tomorrow night right here after the news. Well, Nation to Nation is on deck with another new episode in just a few moments. Here's host Brett Forster with a preview.
Joining me first is AFN National Chief Roseanne Archibald to discuss her first 3 months at the helm. I ask where the National Lobby Group needs to go from here and how she plans to chart her relationship with the Liberals. Meanwhile, the House of Commons resumes sitting on November 22nd. That's fully 5 months since the last session ended. I speak with rookie New Democrat MPs Blake Desjardins and Lori Iqaluit, who are gearing up for their parliamentary debut. That's coming up right after the news.
Thanks, Brett. Looks great. You can catch the entire episode right here in less than 2 minutes' time. That's all the time we have for your APTN National News for this Thursday. For news anytime, visit our website, aptnnews.ca. I'm Dennis Ward. Thanks for being with us. Brett is next with Nation to Nation. We'll see you back here tomorrow.